about how we are managing the disease. As I speak, the communication aspect of COVID-19 is principally handled by the Ministry of Information, and I hope you are aware. It is for a certain reason, because we want to make sure the information is well packaged and that it is given out by the right person and also in the right context to avoid unnecessary speculation. And so therefore, we want you to respect all these protocols. And we also realize that Ghana High Service has actually set up a website and a portal where all the information on the reported cases have been put in there. And we are urging all media personnel to use that platform to access as much information as is possible for your work. I hope I'm very clear, because I wanted to set the stage right for our engagement. Because there have been cases of where we have even gone beyond the engagement that we are having with you and have issued statements, some of which are very, very clear. And yet, we still get a storm of calls. People come to our offices to have one-on-one engagement. People are inviting us to your studios. But like I've always indicated, those kind of engagements breaches the kind of protocol we are all expected to observe to help the country manage the COVID-19 better. It's about any kind of closeness. Yes, we are talking about the numbers, about maybe 25 or more. But it can even be one-on-one. The more closer you sit with anybody to have a conversation, it's a risk. And the reason why, if you come to Confederation now, we have even taken steps to decongest our outpatient department operations, the OPDs. Because we think that the health staff were at risk. The patients who are coming in there are also at risk. So strategically, we needed to have a way to space out our clients. So we have actually scaled up our appointment system to make sure that people who are coming to us are coming in on the dates and the times that they have been given. Of course, some few people will trickle in, but when they trickle in, they will still be seen under the protocol. The key focus is that we must decongest all our operations, and that's why we have even suspended all kinds of meetings in the hospital, except for where management will have to meet at the directorate level or the unit level or at the central management level to take some very urgent and emergency decisions. So I think I wish to use all these introductory remarks to admonish you to please hold on to the frequent calls and the frequent requests for the engagements. I, for instance, have said that as much as I can, and I'm sure as much as the regional director could, if you call and we are able to give you some piece of information, we will do so. But please, there are various sections, especially the official portal. There's so much information there for us to access information from. And we are also releasing statements and various media platforms to make sure that you get as much information as you require for your work. I think having said that, let me talk about the two cases that so far has come to reported in the region. As you may have read, we have two cases. The case one is a patient, 59-year-old, who lives in the UK and arrived in Ghana by British Airways on the 13th of March and got to Kumasi the day after on the 14th. And then 2 days later, this patient complained of a fever, cough, and general feeling of being unwell. So she reported to a private clinic on the next day, and that makes it the 5th day upon arrival in the country, where the suspicion was made there as fitting into the case description. So a sample was taken, and the KCCR at the KNUST, that's the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, did the test. In fact, they have done all the tests for the various cases of suspicion that we have had in the region so far, and it came out to be positive. The patient is currently being managed in isolation. The second case is also a 61-year-old Ghanaian with foreign roots, also resident in Kumasi, which I must say that probably is about the first case being reported that had no travel history. And this patient reported on the 18th of March, just 2 days ago, with a history of fever, cough. And at the time he was seen, various investigations were put in place. And in fact, the radiological investigation that came up, the chest X-ray, was quite suggestive. And quickly, a sample was taken, and the patient's sample came from the KCCR as being positive. This patient has also equally been admitted into isolation, and he's currently doing well. I think this is exactly what describes the two cases that we have had in the region lately, I must say, because there's one case earlier, as you are aware, which is also isolated in Obuasi, and it's also being taken care of. And I must say that all the three patients are so far doing very well under the treatment regime that are being given to them. I think regional director, our friends from the media who are here, this is how far I can go in terms of giving information. I'm sure we will admonish you subsequently in terms of your role in the risk management regime, because we expect you to really assist us and scale up in that particular aspect of managing COVID-19, the risk management, the communication to the public, to the citizenry, about the do's and the don'ts. And when you see some of these things, we expect that you raise issues with them and raise the issues even among yourselves. And we expect that you yourselves will also observe the protocol so that you do not put yourselves at risk. Because we need you in the fight against novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Thank you very much. Okay.
Move on now.
It's okay. Money shift there better.
So, maybe let me. Let's finish with the English and then. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings to the number of cases in the Ashanti region to 3. So far, as a country, we have 16 cases. 16 cases. I think last week when we reported, there were 2 cases. So within a week, I think we've recorded close to 14 cases. The case that was recorded in Ashanti region, one of the cases had no travel history. And those in Accra, 3 of them also have no travel history. That means that you can be in this country and then get infected. And that's one area that we want you to understand. And that calls for risk communication. It means that whatsoever intervention that we've put in place, The president has said a lot, and what we are doing as a country is so important because we are not going to make any assumptions at all. Because this is a new virus, it's a new strain. We don't know the behavior of the virus. So we don't want anybody to be complacent. People who were talking about the temperature and other things, you've realized that despite the temperature, high temperatures, people are getting it here in Ghana. So if you are here, all that we want you to do is that you adhere by the principles that we are talking about and support us as the media to make sure that we adhere to what the president and everybody in this country is saying. And I believe that when we adhere by the principle, we can cut the transmission. Despite the fact that we are having cases in this country. I think this is the area that we want you to help us. One area that we want you to address for us is area of misinformation. We are having a lot of misinformation on the social media. People are talking about using hot water, using aquatation, using so many drugs to cure the disease. Please, this is not true. As at now, we don't have any vaccine. And I don't think that we'll have vaccine maybe in the next even 1 year, because there are certain processes that we'll have to go through if you really want to develop a vaccine. And that will not take you 1 day, it won't take you 2 months, because you have to try it on so many people before you can come up and say that this is a vaccine that you can use on masses. So we are not going to be very complacent at all. The number of cases in this country is going up, and we are in a battle. So let us fight together. You have to allow the medical system also to work. Confidentiality is the key when you come to any medical system. And nobody will be happy that we will go and portray what he's having on media and other things. So from now on, we won't give you any information relating to any patient at all. We are not going to do that.
What are the numbers?
We will tell you the numbers that we are having. We won't tell you where the people are coming from, because they are not coming from outside. They are not imported. We are getting Ghanaians who are living in this country and having cases. So this is exactly what we are going to do. The testing, we are only going to test those people who will meet the case definition. So if you call us that there's somebody hiding in your house and that we should come and test that person, we won't do it. The person will only have to fall under the case definition before the person will be subjected to testing. And this is exactly what we are going to do. We'll have to make sure that anybody who is tested falls under the case definition that we've already described. And this is exactly what we are going to do. So confidentiality is the key here. You have to support the medical system. If people feel that when they are diagnosed, you will expose them, they won't come out and they won't help the system. So let's make sure that in the quest to communicate, we don't do something that will affect the way we are going to manage the disease in this country. We need your cooperation because the cases are going up. And to be very sincere with you, we'll have to have more cases before it will go up, before it comes what? It comes down. So don't be very scared if you see the number of cases going up. The most important thing is that adhered by the simple principles that we keep on talking, and this is the area that we want the media to support us. Support us with the risk communication. Communicate the risk so that people will adhere by those principles. Last week we had a challenge in Kumasi where we saw some pastors were so recalcitrant they wouldn't even listen to what the president was saying. Together with the regional minister, we've decided that if you don't adhere by the principles, we'll also have to apply the rules. So we want all of you, every Ghanaian should be obedient as far as the rules and regulations in this country is concerned. Let's make sure that we are law-abiding. All that we are doing is in your own interest, because we want you to be alive so that we can build this country. The other nations, you can talk to your brothers and sisters in the European countries. They will tell you what is happening here. We don't want those situations in this country, and the health system is going to make sure that we also support the government of Ghana to ensure that we make every Ghanaian living here so safe. So this is a short message that I have for you. Thank you. We would like to open the floor for whatsoever you have. Later we will add the tree, and then maybe we close everything. So let me where can tree now? And I income. So what's that?
Now, Ghana is anticipating more cases of COVID-19 in the coming days. That's the warning coming from the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, as investigations reveal about 600 people came into contact with all the positive cases recorded in the country. The minister, who expressed fears in search of the cases in the coming days, wants Ghanaians to take precautionary measures to protect themselves, as the country's health system is still fragile.
Unfortunately, we got to test them positive after they have actually integrated with us, so moved into our communities. Some of them might have interacted with family members, friends, co-workers, and all that. We have a number of over 600 people from interviews with them, those who have been tested positive. We keep on asking them who they had contacted, and I believe they might not even be able to give us the entire spectrum of people they might have met before we detected them to be positive. But for now, we seem to have got close to about 600 people that we are trying to trace, to check on them whether they have already contracted the disease. And I know the number will be more. So for the next few days and weeks, we are anticipating that we're going to have larger numbers of people who are already having the disease. The only thing that I can say now is the fact that we should all be listening to the guidelines and advice that is coming from our professionals and those who are flying our materials and all the radio stations and television stations and people who are discussing COVID-19. Over the last 3 days, almost every day, we get a case. So going forward, we may begin to grow positives exponentially, and that is becoming a very dangerous situation for all of us. Our health system is still very fragile. Even those that have better systems, like China and the US, it's a calamity now. So we may not have a very large number of places that we should treat people. So that is not the area we should misbehave and get into, because it will be disastrous for us. Please, this is not the time when you are passing in front of somebody's door, you say, oh, Mihun, actually, let me go and say hello to you. Please, no. Those of us in offices, tell those who come to visit us that they should not come again. Because we wouldn't know who you had contacted over the last few days, so don't get closer to anybody. So what you're going to do, if it is not very, very, very critical, please suspend it for some time. A number of airlines have suspended their flights. Some from yesterday, they won't come back. Some from tomorrow, they won't come back. We are still discussing as to what we should do. And I believe when the law is passed, the president will get the necessary power to be able to actually exercise that legal right to stop certain things that we are doing in the country. But some of us are still not listening, and it looks like we are joking with it. Now that we have 11.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Mohammed Ni Ejesoa, has revealed that the Assembly is employing a number of measures, including the use of information service vans, to intensify public education at the various markets under its jurisdiction on the coronavirus pandemic. He said the number of guests attending marriage ceremonies conducted at the Assembly have also been cut down drastically. The revelation was in response to a question on possible shutdown of all markets in the metropolis in the wake of the pandemic. He spoke on Joy FM's Super Morning Show with Kojo Yankson.
Two things that we're doing. First of all, in our office itself, it's a public place where there's a large number of people that come there. You have a big staff, and then there are a couple of activities that goes on over there. You do major workshops, symposium. You have over 320-seater capacity auditorium where almost every day there's an activity going on over there. There's marriages also that's organized there. In fact, on an average, we get 30 marriages a day at AMA.
Oh, wow.
30 marriages a day. And that alone brings a high volume of traffic to AMA. So the first thing that we also did from last week is to reduce the number of people that comes to marry, not in terms of the number of marriages, but we restrict the number to only the couple and their witnesses. So the two people that are coming to marry, and then there are 4 witnesses, there are 2 from each of the male and the female. So that's what we have restricted. And probably that has also reduced the numbers because now we are looking at about 10 marriages a day. So you can see what we are doing. Before you enter into our efforts, we also have the infrared thermometer to check your temperature. We have sanitizers on all the blocks and everywhere, to make sure that people keep sanitizing. And then you have the bucket. But outside our premises, where you have major markets in Accra, Katamanto, Mokola, Okanshi, Agbuglushi, Kwasiajaso, Tema Station. These are huge markets and people flocking every now and then. What do? Oftentimes, in most of these places, it is misinformation, miscommunication that thrives in those areas. These are the things that moves on. So how do you provide constant education, even if the same thing, every day, morning, afternoon, so that will change people? Because if you leave the vacuum, you will allow the miscommunication and the myth to thrive in those areas. So last week we started by making sure that we provided 3 vans with public address system on it. By Monday, we've increased it to 6, and we'll be blaring morning, afternoon, evening. Aside from the central businesses, you have the dormitory towns, the Bukom, Jamestown, Kolegono, Bubuashin, Choko, and those areas. So we do dawn broadcasts and then night broadcasts where.
Now, the Greater Accra Market's queen, Mercy Nijan, is worried that congestion at the various markets and misconceptions about the disease puts traders at greater risks. She urged market women to be more health conscious.
As market women, what we go there to do is to do business and get money. So sometimes we tend to forget the realities on the ground. I think during the Ebola virus era, we were driven through some sort of training up and down. So at least we have a little idea about these epidemics and how they will affect us. So what we are doing now is asking them to go back to their memories and remember what we learned before the others of this new one will be added to it. At least we should know that there is something in the system and we have learned something about how to prevent ourselves. So that is what we are doing now. Now, as our mayor said, there have been a lot of information. Cover your nose, cover your hands. So you see people, they put in this nose mask. When they are finished with the day, they will remove it, put them in their bags. The next morning, they just put it on. Because they don't know exactly what the thing is for. All they know is cover your nose, cover your mouth. So I think presently, as education is going on, and the women are being sensitized, that even if you use it and you remove it, it's spoiled, put on another one. So now we are getting enlightened on how the whole this epidemic is and what to do. I'm telling our market women is money is not everything.
Now, government is set to give every district assembly 100 Veronica buckets in the state's fight against the spread of coronavirus. The move is part of a national disinfection exercise launched today at the Ministry for Local Government and Rural Development grounds. Sector Minister Hajia Alima Mahama, who made the revelation, is currently touring markets in the Greater Accra region for fumigation exercises, checks on hygiene, as well as a giveaway of 4 large dustbins and 10 Veronica buckets per market. She is joined by Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Cynthia Morrison, and Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Hawa Kumsin. Now, the overlord of the Mampugu traditional area in the northeast region, Nabohago Abdullahi Mahami Sheriga II, has warned residents against flouting the president's directives on public gatherings and social distancing as he joins the efforts to stop the spread of the coronavirus. The Nairi has therefore directed security services in the region to deal with any individual or group found disregarding the directives. Na Mahami was speaking at his palace in Nalerigu, from where Eliasu Tanko reports.
Plan against viral disease in conservative societies has always been derailed by the oldest of problems, religion and superstition. Nearly over 70% of the people in this region believe in their gods, and in Dumanawuni are responsible for bringing disease and other misfortunes. This is why last year, when there was outbreak of scabies, the chief of the community where the disease was first confirmed slaughtered animals to pacify the gods and pleaded on behalf of his people for cure. The disease, however, later spread to several villages in multiple districts, affecting up to 1,000 people. With the confirmation of the coronavirus in the country, which prompted the president to announce a series of nationwide precautionary measures, many people in this region have been slowed to believe the stories being told about this virus. The traditional ruler of the area has declared a ban on many social events, including funerals, entertainment, and other gatherings that could draw or bring together more than 25 people. Na Sheriga, while commending President Akufo-Addo for the bold steps, prayed for the world to defeat this deadly pandemic.
And what he says is that he's urging all citizens of Mampugu to support him, to support what the directives the president came up with. That we should stop funerals, mass gatherings, naming ceremonies, and even church services. He's asking all Mampugu people to stop all those things and to even avoid handshaking, going by what the overlord has suggested or has said. The law enforcement agents should take up that matter and let him know if they bring it to his notice. He would invite those individuals and find out why they are flouting what the president has said and what he has support. The overlord is in support of. They will have to come and answer.
Meanwhile, the Regional Security Council has held an emergency meeting to assess the region's preparedness in the fight against the coronavirus. Regional Minister Solomon Boa spoke to Joy News.
We had very useful discussions. All was in a bid to see how the president's directives could be adhered to in the region, and for us to also look at other innovative ways of making sure that we are well prepared for anything that might befall us, which we don't even want it to happen at all. You know that this region has a lot of borders, and I must concede that the borders are porous in nature. If you stretching from Bunkrugu, my own backyard, to Wancheki, and then you cross to the northern region, Saboba. So these are areas that we are looking at what is it that we can do to ensure that the people who flock into the country we are able to really we are able to either stop them or make sure that they enter the country without anything in their hands that relates to this coronavirus pandemic.
Now, the National Identification Authority, NIA, has reacted to critics who have slammed them for refusing to suspend their registration exercise in the face of the COVID-19 outbreak. Contrary to claims that the NIA has defied the orders of the president for public gatherings to be suspended, the NIA says it has not violated any directive since it has adopted measures to prevent the spread of the virus. The NIA, in a statement Thursday, said it has adopted a numbering and appointment system to prevent overcrowding at the registration centers. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Shraj, Joseph Whittal, says the exercise should be called off for the sake of the right to health of Ghanaians.
I just think we are rushing this, and for the sake of the right to health of all Ghanaians, and in obedience to the directive of the president, which is predicated on the WHO precautionary measures, and is for all countries to apply domestically, I think we should give it a break.
Beyond this call by Shraj for NIA to suspend this registration process, what else would Shraj do in the event that NIA ignores your call and then continues with this registration? Would you just lay back and watch them go ahead, or there's something that Shraj would want to do?
Well, let me put it this way. It is not Shraj that NIA would have been refusing to comply. It's a presidential directive which applies to all of us. So I hope the president's directive should be respected. If there is no respect for that directive, it is the presidency that should take the NIA on.
Shraj, you will not be interested in taking the NIA on?
No, I'm only drawing the NIA's attention to very legitimate directives for all to comply by the highest personage in this country, that we don't need to send mixed messages to our people. If you tell the people, don't go to church, don't bury your people, because it will bring about crowds.
Well, you had talk about the price of alcohol going up. The Ministry of Finance has meanwhile waived the value-added tax on alcohol and other two ingredients for the production of hand sanitizers. The Food and Drugs Authority is also given a 24-hour service to all pharmaceutical companies. Odilia and Tiama reports the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association may reduce so many sanitizers, or may produce so many sanitizers by Monday that there could be a glut. However, they may not have the capacity to produce if the disease goes beyond the prevention stage.
The manufacturing companies under the Association of Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Companies currently have the capacity to produce prevention personal protection equipment and sanitizer.
We've agreed that the material that we have, which we are going to use for producing medicine, we are going to allocate them to produce hand sanitizers.
Ghana will not move past this stage successfully, and that is why the $100 million would have been needed.
Unfortunately, once it becomes serious and you move into the pneumonia level, then you need a real treatment. Those products some have been banned from UK, and India is restricting some materials.
Government owes service providers who use pharmaceutical companies. The pharmaceutical companies indicate if government pays this money, it will change a lot.
Odilia's full report is airing at 1 p.m. on the Marketplace. In the meantime, the public is being encouraged not to troop to the banking halls as the country tries to contain the spread of coronavirus. Managing Director of GCB Bank, Anselmo Ransford Sowa, is urging clients to rather take advantage of online banking. He spoke to Joy Business after the bank donated 100,000 Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Health in support of government's program and efforts to save the lives of Ghanaians from the life-threatening disease.
We have already bought a lot of dispensers, a lot of masks, a lot of sanitizers and gloves, which we've distributed around our branches and agencies in the country. More importantly, we also want to tell our customers that this is the time to try to use our digital platforms, our G-Money, our, star 422 hash and internet banking, online banking. Those are the things that we expect our customers to take advantage of, in these dangerous times. Because there's no point in coming to the banking halls if you can help it. At the banking halls, like I said, we are prepared with Veronica buckets full of water, soap, and all the necessary precautions. But it would be best served if people went digital.
And that's it for Business Sports. Coming up next on News Today.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News. And our musician Sharifa Gunu has advised Ghanaians to protect themselves against the coronavirus. Speaking in an interview with Joy News, the musician says even though government has put measures in place to minimize the spread of the virus, individuals must also be conscious to heed to advice and be extra careful with the people they come in contact with.
2020 is good. It's a great year, as we all know. But just that this wahala with just they say pandemic said you coronavirus then what is all this about? It's all prayers that we need, because we can't stop moving around, we can't stop working, we can't stop doing things as a people in a nation like that. Even though the thing is not too much in the country, it's just like few people that they said they have it, and those people came in from somewhere. Fine, whether they are Ghanaians or not Ghanaians. Me, the advice that I would give to Ghanaians or the government of Ghana today is they have come out. In fact, we hear the president said we should close certain borders, we'll close this and that.
He hasn't given that directive yet, but yeah. I mean, we're looking forward to
I hear his speech saying that I'm talking about the airport section, that they should let the Ghanaians come in and we'll check on them. But those that is not from Ghana, they should stay in their country. We'll also stay healthy here. We should also just stop like that flights coming in and whatever. Our people can come in fine, but I think if we can take precaution from that part, I think the country will be safe. Here we don't need it. We really don't need this in Ghana. We don't need this because we get our own wahala already. If this one enter, but we finish with that. But we pray to God Almighty. It will not jump anywhere, because they said 4 weeks.
Away from Sharifa, as the dreadful coronavirus disease continues to cause panic across the globe, Ghanaian actor Prince David Osei says dealings in the movie industry have become stagnant. He told Hit FM's Doreen View the situation has caused great loss to the sector.
It's really bad because my movie Newsman, it's finally ready. We're supposed to take it to Silverbird, take it to the censorship board, and book a date at Silverbird. But with what is happening right now, we don't know when this is going to be over. So if we try to book a date, then it's going to be, it's going to affect us because we don't know if people will show up. So at the moment, everything is on a standstill. We're just waiting to hear. Maybe after the 4 weeks, as the president instructed, maybe after 4 weeks things will get better. But I mean, it is what it is. Everything is on standstill. And now we can't really go on set because we're hoping to do another movie. But, I told my friends we had to wait because we can't go on set now.
And what are your colleagues saying? I mean, have you interacted with some of them?
Oh, yeah.
What are they saying?
Yeah, I was with Yvonne at her home. We are all talking. I mean, most of my colleagues are using the social media platform to educate the fans, the followers, and tell them to stay safe because I mean, no matter what happens, we all need to take the precautionary measures and stay safe.
That'll be all for Showbiz here on Joy News today. We're still here.
We are still here.
COVID-19 is still here.
COVID-19 is still here. Becky, the first locally transmitted case, and you can tell that authorities we've gotten to a certain stage.
Yeah.
And we can simply be more careful and pray as well.
Yeah.
And we can never have too much of that. But please be careful, as we always tell you. That's it for this bulletin of Joy News today. My name is Daniel Dazi. Becky brought us Showbiz. And
for more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.
Up next is The Marketplace. Have a good day.